realize I'm pounding foolish, but it's just something I'm taking note of. And you mentioned a couple of other things that are attractive, Tina, about the evaluation kit. One contrast between the two companies is that I know, because I did briefly look at the website, the IDEA company has been around since the 1970s. The evaluation kit you mentioned has been in business for 9 years, which isn't bad. But I guess the big question I would have, has evaluation kit been used successfully in reaccreditation for
Good question.
schools?
I can email Peter and ask him that.
That would be good to
Yeah.
know.
Valerie, I can answer that one for IDEA. Yeah, I mean, obviously with 45 years, a lot. But the woman I spoke to, her name is Ellen Zeman, and she's at Champlain College in Vermont. But it's fairly urban, about our size, and they've used it for several reaccreditations. They've been using it for, I think, 12 years.
This is IDEA, right?
They've been using, they've been using IDEA for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so she mentioned two things in particular that I thought fit us really well. Well, actually three things. Okay, so one, they're using this indirect information of student learning repeatedly in their accreditation. And it is indirect, so you've got to have some direct measures too, but they're doing very well with it. That they have a number of departments of one full-time faculty member with a lot of adjuncts. And so that full-time faculty member gets a lot of visibility to what's going on with their adjuncts. And so it's useful for them. And that whether you do it through Blackboard or through the URL, you have a dashboard that lets you know which of your students have filled things out or which of your classes. And you can set that up so you can see that or not. You can also set up an automatic email reminder. So for whatever students haven't filled it out by X date, automatically they get an email that says, hey, the window's open, it's open for another week. So there's several items that closely relate, but the main thing is they've been using it for reaccreditation, and it's working out for them so far.
So if this is a one-time fee, how will we ensure that this software will be maintained and upgraded?
Good question. Did not ask them that.
We had that difficulty with Scantron. We went with Scantron because it was a one-time investment, and when that investment failed, we were left with my legal pad, which is not something I ever want to rely on. So.
I can email him. I can do that right after we get done. I don't know, because I did ask is there 24-hour support? No. Being in Denver, it's just 9 to 5 Mountain Time. But he says there's quite a few documents that can answer questions, but not having somebody there. I don't know how that's going to be. But he was saying that it only takes an hour to set up with the Blackboard administrator. Now that's just set up for the software. But we have also, like I said, the questions. The questions are going to be very timely. Time consuming. Time consuming, thank you, not timely. Time consuming.
On that same issue, the woman at Champlain said we should make sure our IT spends a lot of time with them before we even sign, because it does take a lot of setup. So like the idea that we would do a pilot in spring, you've got to commit 3 or 4 months ahead to get this thing to work out. Because you want the one URL, but the only way you get one URL is if everything behind stage is lined up.
And you can access it, it's not Blackboard, but
you put it in Blackboard if you wanted to.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And she said they do. You could
And
you could put it on your website. You could put it on your own
Is
website.
it actually using the Blackboard platform? Or it just happens to be
No,
your
it would
URL?
go right through there. So you could put that URL wherever you wanted to.
Oh, it's okay, Darren, do you understand what I'm asking? If it's using the actual Blackboard site or a URL?
No, what he's saying is that that the student would, log into Blackboard, have access to the URL that then, bounces them to.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, this
another-
actually is in
And
Blackboard.
Tina, I understand what you're saying. Another of these possibilities, it's called Course Eval, is linked with Blackboard. So it's something that you can do in Blackboard, And what that option gives you is that you could allot extra credit for that because it's a Blackboard
Oh,
assignment. So
I think
that's,
he talked about
that's
it.
the advantage of having it built within the Blackboard.
I think he mentioned that, didn't he? Okay, did he this? I think he
Yes.
mentioned that about extra credit, which, no, I think that's paying for a evaluation and that gets unethical. Anything else, Ms. Ellery?
Not from me, no. Well, actually, I had a question that's inspired by looking at the handout from Liz. Liz, were you going to speak about what you did here?
Well, as I handed this out, that was just my part, was to find other evaluation tools, and I made sure everybody had a copy, and I will email you, because all of that's underlined, there's an actual link to the survey that those schools use, and then attached to this is IB Tech's course evaluation that they use, just an example of the questions that they use. But I want to go back, Tina, to the evaluation kit, because I'm looking at my notes, and it looks as though there was the initial setup fee, but there is an annual. It isn't a one-time, because he indicated that there was a 98% renewal rate
Oh,
with the colleges that use them. They've been for 9 years. There's 300 plus institutions, and they've won a 2016 Cody Award
that's right.
for their work. There's Association of Institutional Researchers that they work with, and they are very aware and in line with the Higher Learning Commission expectations. And I believe it was more of the ease of use that everybody that uses them, all the universities that use them, really liked. And
Okay.
that it was that whole Blackboard platform. So the questions, we would have to make sure that we all agreed on them, but it would just be like putting a Blackboard assignment together by putting them in there. But that's what I gathered.
Okay, I
There
will-
was an annual fee.
I will email him also with that question. What is the fee for the annual renew?
Again, I realize that time is of the essence. We need to make a timely choice, but we also want to make sure it's the right choice for our institution. So I was curious, Liz, with the handout you distributed, that there are 2 national course evaluation forms that are in wide use. One is IDEA and the other is from ETS, the Student Instructional Report. I wonder if it might be worth looking up a little information
There
on
are
that.
actually more than that. I've spoken with several other of these evaluation kits. IOTA 360, Course Eval, and then there's a platform that comes directly from Empower. So there are not only 2 of those widely used evaluation.
Well, Ginger, can I ask,
Possibilities,
is this one student instructional report, is that one that you've looked at, it says
No,
it's not
not
as
that
good as IDEA?
I did not look at that report.
Again, just asking for information.
Well, and also just to go back a couple steps, this started with the Purdue form before I even looked at an evaluation kit. And I went to Darren to see if we could use Empower to come up with the reports. And short answer, no.
Actually, St. Joe's uses Empower for that purpose, and the only thing that you can indeed have the evaluation form in Empower, but the only thing that you get is an individual instructor report.
Exactly what we get here. Yeah, because I thought it would be nice, I mean, it'd be totally free, it might take a lot of work, but if we could somehow use Empower to get aggregate data, that would be perfect, we wouldn't pay anything, but it's not.
Well, I think one of the challenges with Empower would be if you had this requirement to have all these customizable surveys. You know, if it was 1 or 2 or a handful, you know, maybe you could field that. But then you've also got the issue of what are the quality of the reports that you could generate out of Empower. For those of you that, you know, get those course evaluations, you know that they're pretty rudimentary. It's just, you get a totals report, you know, how many answered true. It's kind of like the IB Tech thing. I saw on Liz's, how many answered true, how many, or you know, how many responded at the various levels, and what were the comments? So you're not gonna get very sophisticated analysis through Empower, and I'm assuming that's one of, you know, your requirements that you're trying to achieve.
I was just noticing something I like about the Ivy Tech example, question number 12. The instructor used various teaching aids. It's nice to see that in there because whether you lecture or use discussion or break people up into groups is not, those are not the only options. Sometimes jazzing the class up with a short video, or, you know, or images up front, that can be part of effective teaching. So it's just nice to see that. So, questions?
I think there was a question like that in Pisces. Where exactly, I can't tell you. Instructional methods, yes, on page 2. It doesn't specifically address whether you use multiple methods, but it lists all the separate ways that you can do it. That was, like I said, one of the things that was better an idea. They would put together questions with multiple answers or multiple parts much better than Pisces.
What question was that, Becky?
Well, it's on, again, it's on the
Review tech.
form that Liz distributed. It is question number 12. The instructor used various teaching
Ah.
aids. And the one above that is nice too because it's kind of open-ended how you interpret it. The instructor engaged students in participatory and productive learning activities. And there are so many ways to teach effectively. And what you do with one class or even one particular group of students, it's going to vary.
Absolutely.
My hunch is, and I could be completely wrong, I hope Kirk and Jimmy will correct me, that what we need more from the instructor surveys is not so much how we teach, but whether students think they're learning. So the questions that relate to student outcomes, would I be correct in assuming those are the most crucial?
No, I think I think they both matter a lot. But like, I think if you look, let's say, like students recently are telling me I'm not getting work back fast enough. You know, so I can learn from that and try to decide either I'm going to communicate better. This is going to take a couple weeks, or I can try to get it back faster, which is not going to happen. So that one really matters to me. And I can do something with it. If I'm learning that students, they all entered a writing class and all of them said, I didn't even believe I could do this. Well, I can learn something from that too. So I think it really depends on what we're trying to do at the time, but I don't think there's any one thing. I think there's 3 or 4 or 11. And you know, I think we have a lot of choices to make. But it's going to depend on what we're using it for at the time. It's going to have to be flexible and pretty broad.
Do any of the Pisces questions look to you like they're useful?
Oh yeah, 600 of them do. Yeah. You know, I think they'd be very hard to use. Look at relevance of content. Question number 59. This course is up to date with developments in the field.
How would they know?
What do my students really know about that? You know, so
We're not using that.
there's a lot of formative and summative stuff in IDEA. I think it's a lot more flexible. You know, to me, it's the one I prefer. Would Pisces be better than the one that we're currently using? It seems like it probably would be. You know, I'm strongly in favor of IDEA for reasons I've tried to name, but it looks like they both can do a lot of the same stuff.
I do have a concern about national norms, because one of the things that our systems portfolio feedback said to us over and over again is that we tend to be very insular, and we tend to look at what we're doing only within our own institution without looking at how that compares outside of, outside of our own classroom and our own institution. So I do have some concerns about national norms as well that would be important to answer for that.
I will ask him if he has anything on that.
Well, but what it comes down to are the questions, and how those are, that's what it comes down to. So the software is not
Okay.
that, it's the, the choices that are made here.
Because IDEA uses the same questions for every university that uses it in comparison with other universities, right?
Could we do the same thing with Pisces?
No, because the questions are unique. We would pick them, so they
True.
wouldn't necessarily be the same as other universities.
True, but it would all, unless you found that they were using the same questions.
Right, we would get a.
If there's 600
Confused.
questions, the chances are low. There'll be some overlap, but
Yeah, similar classes probably.
Any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up?
Perfect, 1 hour.
Yes.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
thank you for your time.
Got enough people to show up.
I know that Tina's going to do some follow-up research